Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be for January 2026. You have this dragon card. It says Ancient Wisdom, Power, and Magic. You have this cassowary. It says Resolute Warrior, Spirit, and Defense. I was looking at your chart for the beginning of the year, actually right before I started this reading. And, the first thing that kind of popped into my head for you, Pisces, is about kind of like just being unapologetically motivated. Because I feel like you are going to feel very motivated this first month of the year, and probably all year, really. I mean, it's a kind of a motivational year for you. And, I would take advantage of that energy. And, it's like, I think there's something in this first month about, not holding back. And, but I think it boils down to, being willing to shine, so it's like maybe you have to stand out more, and, maybe that means you're gonna like outshine other people, but, I think that's okay. So I think you need to have the, the confidence to do that. You start here in your first row for your current general energies for January 2026. You have the Ten of Wands, the Justice card, and the Five of Wands. Yeah, it's like you're still cleaning things up. I mean, the first month of the year is pretty good. We have 10 conjunctions in January, which is crazy. We've never really had like 10 planets conjunct basically all at the same time in a month. And so it's pretty unusual and, very powerful. I think you could be cleaning a lot of things up. And you're probably doing this now. I'm recording this on December 19th, so this will be published on the 20th. And, if you're watching it early, you could be doing this cleaning up right now. It's kind of funny as well because I do feel like there is a bunch of work that you could be thinking about doing in January, or like once we get to January, you're going to be like, oh, I have to do this, this, and this. And I feel like you're just doing it. I know that sounds stupid, and it's like not much of a message, but it could be a lot of work, but he's very close to accomplishing a goal. So it kind of makes me feel like some of you, it's like you could be very busy right away in January, but there's probably a good reason for it, is kind of what the Ten of Wands is saying to me. Like, yeah, you're busy, but it's because you are figuring something out. We even go down like this, Five of Pentacles to the Nine of Pentacles, which is pretty good. It's kind of funny that you have the Five of Pentacles there. The Five of Pentacles could say, and the Ten of Wands could say that you're working towards something that you're not sure if you can accomplish. And then Nine of Pentacles is like you in the future being like, I always knew I would accomplish that. And so I kind of get that feeling for you where there like might be a little bit of doubt at first, especially if you're working on something specific or whatever, Pisces. But then when you do accomplish it, like in the future, you're like, oh yeah, I always knew I would do that. You have the Justice card. Yeah, I mean, like I think everybody's probably going to get something like the Justice card or the Four of Swords at the beginning of the year here. Like I said, it's a busy year, but I also feel that it's critically important that everybody balances their energy this year in January as well. So I think it's saying, work hard, play hard, kind of, or like, I think the Two of Pentacles could be another card that comes up a lot in these readings because, I don't know, just feels like it, and I feel like saying it, so there you go. I also do feel that some of you could be getting justice, but it's like justice that you're working for is what I'm getting with that Ten of Wands. So, like, what I would say to Pisces is North Node in your sign, very karmic. I think what people don't realize about having, like, the North Node in your sign, for example, is it can bring you karma, like good karma, right? But it's not, like, directly from the thing that happened. That could be a million things for you, Pisces. Like, it's like if you were hurt by a person, it's like you're not gonna like see them get karma and that's your karma. It's like gonna be from something else. It's like your life getting better or your life improving or something like that. So it might be kind of like unrelated karma, or I don't even know what to call it, but it's definitely popping into my head. You have the Five of Wands. Yeah. I would be studying the competition in whatever it is that you do, Pisces, because you are definitely one of the signs. I really feel Uranus and Gemini is going to benefit you significantly. Gemini is your fourth house, Pisces, and, most people think of Uranus and Gemini as kind of like creating movement in the home. Like a lot of you could be moving over the coming years, or your home could be a little bit more unstable, but not really in a bad way. We're more talking about a lot of moving parts, right? Uranus loves Gemini, so I don't think it's going to be bad at all for you, Pisces, in the home. But you could just have that, wanderlust type energy where it's like you're wanting to explore more, you're wanting to get out into the world more. But what I would say is the fourth house is the root of your chart. It kind of like, is what stabilizes your chart, right? And the thing about that with being in Gemini is I feel like something that will stabilize you is studying competition, like in all areas of your life, seeing what they're doing, what they're not doing, and filling in the gaps. Standing out above the competition is what you need to do. I kind of feel that, part of Pluto and Capricorn, which, Pluto's in Aquarius, yes, I understand that, but it was in Capricorn for a long time, so you're still feeling that energy. And part of me feels that Pluto and Capricorn, it's like you could see a lot of people doing what you want to do in life, and you could be thinking that you can't beat the competition. We're talking about years ago when Pluto was in Capricorn, so there might have been a lot of like self-doubt and things like that, which we actually see right here. And I kind of do feel this is talking about overcoming that self-doubt, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to rise above these people, I'm not going to be able to stand out, I'm not going to be successful. It's about changing that mindset, and that's definitely something you could be working on. Let's see. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Six of Swords. Again, pretty good. Moving on to calmer shores. Really, it's a big time for you to set yourself apart, like I just said. So, the Six of Swords, this woman and the child, they're moving on to the calmer shores for the hopes of a brighter future, and they're kind of leaving everything in the past. So, I kind of feel like that would be a good thing for you, Pisces, to just be like, I'm not saying that you're starting over, but, it almost gives me that vibe of you saying to yourself, this is a new Pisces in 2026. And embrace that vision, whatever it is. With the Justice card, you have the Fool. Yeah, taking a leap of faith. I do feel like there could be like little motivational things that happen for you this year. I think I talked to you about this like recently. I don't think these are big, huge things. But I feel like it's almost like you're getting little boosts from the universe, where the universe is kind of trying to motivate you to take more action or to move forward on, something that you're clearly working on. We'll talk about that on the Nine of Pentacles for sure. And it's like the universe is giving you those little clues again that you're moving in the right direction. With the Five of Wands, you show up here with the Moon. Yeah, it's not time to hide. I said this at the beginning of your reading. It's not even a criticism. I just think it's something you have to work on, with your chart. I was looking at your chart, and there's like a lot going on. It's like even, Mars will be sextiling Pisces. So, and people always say, Mars can't sextile a sign. This can't sextile a sign. I'm like, yes, it can. It creates a sextile. It creates that angle right there. So, yeah, it can. And your sun, if you're watching this reading, is probably in Pisces. So at some point in the near future, Mars will sextile your sun in Pisces, depending on when you were born. But, what I would say here is, like, just looking at all that, it kind of I feel you need to turn into the sun, not the moon, right? Even though the moon is Pisces, I think you need to make sure you're not holding back this month. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you this month, you have this debt card. It says, are you in your driver's seat with your debt, or has your debt taken over and placed you in shackles? You have this entitlement card. It says, what do you believe that you deserve? Let me start over. Why do you believe that you deserve benefits and privileges that you haven't earned or worked for? I think you have earned and worked for a lot here, Pisces. I would definitely keep an eye on your finances. I've been saying this to you for years now. I wouldn't be spending money all over the place, but money does look pretty good. I think I said to you in one of your last readings as well, it is a good time to clean up your finances. So, doing that will just benefit you in the future, of course, and, I would do whatever you can to make that happen. You have the Death card. Again, I feel like you're drawing a line in the sand almost with this reading. It's like you're saying, I am this new Pisces in 2026. And I really feel this is encouraging that type of transformation where you say, like, this is the new me. And you just kind of fully live in that energy of whatever the new you is here, Pisces. That's going to be like the most beneficial thing for you, I feel. And so I would definitely work on that. Definitely could be some transformations. The other funny thing that I'm getting here for you, Pisces, is that some of you could be walking away from something. We have the King that's dead underneath the Death Rider right here, and the King being dead represents the death of establishment. But the funny thing is like, I feel like people in your life could be like, why are you leaving that job, or why are you leaving that person, or why are you doing this, why are you doing that? But it's like, you're right. is what I want to say here. So, if you're thinking about moving on from something or creating something new or leaving something, you probably already know it's right, and maybe other people don't see it, but you have to do it anyway. You have the Five of Pentacles, definitely something that you could correct right now. You have the Nine of Pentacles, I'm not even that worried about it. I think this is more self-doubt more than anything. Five of Pentacles is self-doubt. These two people, they are calling attention to their weaknesses. This guy has a bell around his neck, and during the times of lepers, he represents a leper, and he's walking down the street with the bell because lepers had to wear bells around their necks. He's calling attention to his weakness. So the Five of Pentacles could be the doubts that creep into your head. I'm kind of surprised the Strength card hasn't come up here, because I think that would be a good energy for you to work on, that inner voice, the voice in the back of your head that says you can't do this, you can't do that. Those are the things I would be taking control of. The other interesting thing is that this is an anchor right here in this stained glass window with these Five Pentacles, and you have that debt card. I don't feel bad about money at all for you this year, including January. I think money could be improving, but this would say you have to improve it. The thing about the Five of Pentacles is that this is a church behind them, and the church represents a place of sanctuary, and it represents like an easy solution to their problem. They're left out in the cold, but they could easily go inside the church and they could come into the warmth. Right next to it, you have the King of Swords. The King of Swords is like a mentor. I frequently say that with the King of Swords, that if you have an issue or a problem, there could be an expert or a person who knows more than you that could easily solve your problem. And it could be any gender. It doesn't have to be a man. So again, if you're looking for a solution, then I feel you could find a good one. And if you follow through on it, it will probably protect you or help you fix the situation. You have the Queen of Pentacles. I think you need to focus more on multiplication. Queen of Pentacles is my card of multiplication. She has this rabbit right here. It represents fears and anxiety or fertility and abundance. The whole point of the card is she's focused on what she has. She's not focused on her fears or anything like that. Rabbits also multiply very quickly, and so I feel that you already have like the skills necessary to multiply your finances or multiply your money very quickly, but you need to kind of really tap into it. The other thing that's popping into my head here, Pisces, is like prediction. I feel that it's like your powers of prediction are returning. And so, if you're having these intuitive thoughts, like if you are predicting that some idea is going to work really well for you, it probably is. I think you're not used to that because of Neptune and Pisces. But in January, at the end of January, Neptune leaves Pisces. I kind of feel this is a little bit of a blessing for you, Pisces, having it going into Aries. I think it's going to make you a little bit better at predicting your finances, predicting financial ideas, things that could make you more successful. And, I would start trusting those things again. I think what Pisces has learned during Neptune and Pisces as well is over-optimism, where you kind of come up with an idea, you almost get too excited about it, then it doesn't work. It's like like a yo-yo energy. It's like extreme high, extreme low. Because, you get very excited, it doesn't work out, then that brings you very low. I feel what's changing with the energy is now I feel you're just, instead of getting super excited or disappointed, I feel you're going to be more in the middle. It's like you're just going to say, well, I'll try this a little bit, see how it goes, and if it works, great, then I'll get excited. And so I feel like you're being a little bit more realistic or something, or more, practical about how you invest your time into projects, businesses, ideas, whatever. With the Death card, you have the Two of Cups. Definitely could be love coming in for you. Yeah, I thought so. Your last card is this card that says, a new romantic cycle begins. I think you had a Scorpio in your last reading, or one of the last readings I did for you. So it could be a Scorpio, it could be any sign coming in for you. You have the Page of Cups here as well. But definitely a good time for love. With the Five of Pentacles, you have the Three of Swords, but I would heal those past heartbreaks for sure. The Five of Pentacles, sometimes the Five of Pentacles I feel is a little weird because it can be like two people who have been through the same thing in love. And, obviously you're going to want to make sure that before you get into anything that you're healed. You also want to make sure that they are healed as well. And as long as you do that, I think you'll be fine. Three of Swords, a card of forgiveness, letting go of the past. We were talking about karma, and it's almost like you're getting this unrelated karma thing. I wish I had a better way to describe that, but it's almost like you are getting karma for something, but it's not like directly from that thing, if that makes sense. And this could be saying that just healing the things that you've been through over the past many years, removing those swords from your heart. The easiest way to do that with the Three of Swords is to practice forgiveness. That will be the thing that will probably set you free or bring you positive karma. With the Queen of Pentacles, yes, Knight of Pentacles, slow, right? Like I was saying, he doesn't make these big, huge investments. He can represent progress. I don't really like the Knight of Pentacles, if I'm being honest, because, he is a little too slow. But, he's only Knight in the tarot that isn't moving. But, I do feel pretty good. I feel like you're making progress. I feel like you're making these smaller investments, and you're being more in middle ground. You're being more like, you can maintain your excitement, but I feel you're maybe being a little bit more realistic about your ideas, or I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but, I do think it's a good thing. Next, can't make this up. In the area of messages from your future self, you have the Saturn card. It says structure. You've been dealing with Saturn in your sign for like the past 3 years. It moves back into Aries on February 13th. You have this Moon card. It says perception on it. So, it's like this is the final hug and kiss goodbye from Saturn in your sign this month and, a little bit into February. And so I would be adding structure to your ideas. Like this last, maybe 6 weeks or so of, I'm talking about January and like the first 2 weeks of February. That is when, and even starting now, if you're watching this in December, I would be really focusing on the structure, what the foundation that you are building something upon, and making sure that you have a solid foundation. I think that will be helpful. Your perception is changing, of course, again, with Neptune leaving your sign. I think that will bring all sorts of new perceptions and ideas into your life. You have the Queen of Swords, King of Swords, and the Nine of Pentacles. King and Queen of Swords can be divine counterparts. I'm not a big fan of them either as divine counterparts because they're two people who don't see eye to eye. It could also just be someone you haven't met yet, which is kind of more what I feel. So if you're looking for love, there you go. I do feel like you're getting very clear this month, which is great. There could be a lot of clarity on your direction. She is looking at the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords is coming up in the good stuff. Seven of Swords is about doing something differently. We'll talk about it in a minute. And so you could be coming up with like a new approach to what you're working on. I specifically feel that right there is talking about work in the world that you do. And a new approach will probably make you very successful. You have the King of Swords. Again, number one, I feel finding an expert, finding a mentor, finding a person who has answers would be very good for you. I kind of also feel this is you. You've definitely been collecting a lot of knowledge and wisdom, probably for many years, probably since at least 2016. Back in 2016, we also had Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn in Capricorn in your 11th is like profitable education for you, Pisces. So, even though Saturn was only there for like 3 years, Pluto's been there for a very long time. And so we look at the 11th house as like, community, people in your life, but it's also considered a house of luck. And so I feel that your knowledge and wisdom, the things that you've learned over the past like 10 years, could be really improving your luck at this time. And is it luck? Probably not. It's probably really actually preparation. I think that luck is basically preparation. You're just prepared to do things that feel like luck. And, but I kind of feel this is when the chickens are coming home to roost here, Pisces. It's like you're finally getting the results from the years of like self-education or the lessons you've learned. You have the Nine of Pentacles, which is great. Nine of Pentacles is gratitude, luxuries, creating heaven on earth. I feel a lot of you could be working on that. She is also keeping more than enough energy for herself here. She has 6 pentacles over here, 3 pentacles over here. The card itself basically says she's willing to give anything new 3 pentacles. Again, smaller investments, right? She is not going all in up front. It's a little bit, this is going to sound confusing, although it's pretty freaking simple, but, it's like we are kind of in a time where we have to go all in if something is going to work. Having said that, I think for you, Pisces, it would be better to make these small investments, like in new ideas, new people even, where you just try it a little bit. If it works, great, then you can go all in. But I would like start with that small investment, see what happens, then go all in. And instead of just going all in, losing everything, and being in a bad mood for 6 months. 5 of Pentacles, 3 of Swords, right? So, it just like a slightly more cautious energy, we'll put it that way. She also has this Falcon right here. You have the Queen of Swords, King of Swords. These are all cards of great focus. And so I feel that focusing on the goals you want to accomplish would be a good idea. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Magician. Yeah, you are the Magician. I mean, it's an amazing time of manifestation this month for you, Pisces. You have a lot of amazing energy for manifesting what you want. So I think that working on manifestation would be a good idea. With the King of Swords, you have the Ace of Pentacles. Could be a big opportunity coming in for you. Again, I'm not worried about money at all for you. I think that a lot of you, if you're working on something new, it could be bringing in a lot more money or whatever. I think that a good, this is kind of popping into my head as well here, Pisces. I think a good exercise for you would be to look back on all the things that didn't work, right, over the last 10 years, at least. Maybe I would actually go back to like 2012 when Neptune entered into Pisces, at 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. And it's like, what were your insecurities? And, looking back on the things that haven't worked in your life, it's like, why didn't they work? Maybe you need to think about it and write everything down on a piece of paper. I think if you would face those parts of yourself that prevented something from working, that is probably what will bring you the best opportunities this month and this year, 2026. So, I think facing those things is kind of what the King of Swords would do. And he is very disciplined, and discipline could definitely be one of those things that you have to work on, but, still looks pretty good. With the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Seven of Swords. Yes, we'll talk about it now. You have the Seven of Swords twice. He's sneaking away from this army in the background with these swords, and so he's going to war, but in a different way. Again, Five of Wands in this reading. I feel like it's saying you don't have to take part in competition. You can work around the competition or totally avoid the competition and do something different that makes you stand out. And that's exactly what I would do. Again, Uranus in Gemini is going to be very tactical. The Seven of Swords, he is being tactical. He is stealing those swords from the army instead of going to war. He's doing something different. And, that is going to kind of make you feel very secure this year, especially because, again, it's your fourth house. It's the root of your chart. It is what stabilizes your life. And that is what I would be thinking about with this card. Whenever this happens, where we have a card here and then the same card here, it's like the universe is kind of like zooming it on that card, if that makes sense. So we're going to keep that in mind for this row. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this card that says a new romantic cycle begins. You have this card, it says bring love into the situation. Yes, definitely could be new love coming in for you here. I do feel like you're being slightly more cautious in love, even if it just comes this year. I don't think that's a bad thing. Like I said, I think you're just more in a cautious position, but I still feel there could be new love, of course. You have the Seven of Swords again, the Five of Swords, and the Page of Cups. I also feel like you should not be worried about being unique or eccentric. Again, as I've said to you many times, people aren't meant to understand Pisces ideas until they're done. It's like nobody is going to understand what you're doing until you do it, until after you do it. So there's no point in explaining it. And, I think explaining yourself is just going to, put you in a worse position. So I kind of feel like this is saying, don't be afraid of being eccentric. Don't be afraid of being unique or whatever in your approach to life. It's like when you get to the finish line, then people will appreciate what you're doing, right? You have the Five of Swords. Definitely time to take a risk. A lot of you could be separating away from certain communities or certain people. It's like you're setting yourself apart. I feel that you're kind of... This year, I do feel could be a good year for you to like really find your tribe, to find your people that lift you up, support you, to find the type of people that you want to have in your life. And, I kind of feel that here with the Five of Swords. It's not like good or bad in this reading, even though it's showing up in the good stuff. I do think the outcome will be good. Obviously, if you surround yourself with better people, your life is going to improve. But, that's what I get there. You have the Page of Cups. Definitely could be new love. I don't know. I feel like you're attracting someone who's very shy for some reason here, Pisces. It's like you're attracting someone already has their eye on you, or vice versa. You have your eye on someone. I'm not sure. But it's like someone is, kind of looking at you, I feel. Or, like I said, vice versa. I feel like what you will notice is that this person is very consistent. As Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles can play the slow, long game, but at the same time, it's like they can be more predictable and consistent in their actions, and it's like maybe you haven't experienced that in a long time. So, I do feel it's like a very consistent person. which will probably make you feel more comfortable. With the Seven of Swords, you have the Eight of Cups, all about strategy. The first word that popped into my head with this card is strategy. That's not what this card means, but, I read intuitively, so there you go. But what I would say here is it's almost like you are getting more strategic this year. I think this is like a switch that's being flipped literally in January. This might be something you start thinking about like the first week of January, that you want to get more strategic, or that you have a strategy. And, I kind of feel like you're playing a little bit of 5D chess here for whatever reason. And I think this is a good thing for sure. But, the Eight of Cups, he's deciding he's no longer going to settle for less than he deserves. He has this vision for his life. These 8 cups, they do provide him with something, but it's just like not the life he wants to live. So he's sending a signal to the universe. He's saying like, hey, I don't want to live this life anymore. I want to live the life that I actually want to live. So I'm going to walk away from these things. And again, it's funny that I said that people could be like, why are you doing this? Why are you making these choices? But, it's like, I think it's because that you shouldn't settle for like an energy or for some sort of environment that's in your life, and you're like, making decisions. It feels very good, Pisces. With the Five of Swords, you have the Knight of Wands. It is a year for you to be a rebel. Uranus and Gemini is very rebellious energy. It's against the grain, sticking out like a sore thumb, all that. And the Knight of Wands is definitely a rebel. So you're like a rebel this year, and starting in January right away. So I like that. With the Page of Cups, you have I told you, Pisces, someone already has their eye on you, or you're spying on someone, or you're both spying on each other. I don't know. Take it how it resonates. You're not talking to each other. Queen of Swords, King of Swords. Will something happen? I don't know. Let's ask. Why not? I'm nosy. Yes, something will happen. Page of Wands. So 3 pages here, and I do feel like this person probably will make an offer. You do have the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles can be like someone who's making an offer, someone who's reaching out, something like that. Let's see. You have this pig. It says beware of greed. I think this is should say beware of spending, right? Money actually looks very good. I think this is going to be a great year for you for money, especially because Neptune's leaving Pisces. I've told you before, I don't think Pisces likes Neptune and Pisces, even though Neptune rules Pisces. It does not. To me, Jupiter, the ancient ruler of Pisces, is still the ruler of Pisces. I don't think anyone really likes Neptune in their sign. It's confusing. And all this other stuff, right? So what I would say here is I feel it's just saying like, hey, you could be making more money, but just like don't spend it all in one place. You have this clouds. It says temporary problems. Yes, we were talking about the yo-yo energy, this up, down thing. I feel that it would be a good year, and maybe this is something that you could work on, is like your I don't know what the word, I'm at a loss for words, but kind of like your emotional state is what I want to say. It's like it would be better for you to like not get too excited or too disappointed. And I'm not even sure. I'm really bad at this, Pisces, so I'm like the wrong person to ask, because I get really excited about things and then I get really disappointed, right? And so I don't know, but maybe it's something I should work on too, right? It's like, how can you make it more straight? Instead of like getting too excited, too disappointed, you keep it even. There's something in that, because I feel like it will help you, like, if something would normally disappoint you, instead of getting disappointed, if you're like middle, I feel it will allow you to work on the next thing, instead of like wasting like 6 months being disappointed that something didn't work, right? And so again, that, working on your emotional state might be a good idea. You have this career, you seem very career focused or financially focused, and I feel this is a good thing. You have this V card. It says victory in some endeavor. Yes, definitely could be some victories coming in for you. We see that. And you have this dog close up. It says pleasure with a close friend. Like I said, I think surrounding yourself with the right people is going to be very important for you this year as well. But this looks pretty good, Pisces, so we'll see. But thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. And definitely enjoy your month.